Yo, what's good? I just came from doing a little shopping, but I wanted to record another video. So today we're doing R&B. Let's get into it. So R&B has changed a lot over the years, and I really like the modern sound. It's a lot darker, it's a lot grittier, and I feel like artists have a lot more room to be more expressive and more creative about things that are going on or about modern problems that we face as a generation. Artists like Drake, Brent Faiyaz, partynextdoor, and even Black sometimes all come with a darker sound, but they all have a very unique approach to making R&B type of beats. And so that's what I went for with this melody right here. The key of this sample is in C sharp minor. I'm at 88 BPM. Let's go ahead and start breaking it down. First, let's listen to the full thing. Very dark and very moody. So of course, the key to making a sample like this is to start off with some very moody chords. And to do that, I started off with this harp that I found on Splice just because I wanted to use something a little bit different than the usual piano or pad. So here's what that sounds like. All right, so the key to make these kind of samples even more dark and more moody is reverb and EQ for the most part. So what I did was I added a little bit of reverb and added a little bit of EQ, just ducking out some of the highs. You want to leave a lot of the highs out if you want to get that dark sound because it tucks instruments more to the background. And then for the second half, I wanted to do kind of a switch up and let the keys take over, but I didn't want to completely leave the harp out. So I did a couple automations. First, I added another EQ, cutting out a lot of the highs and a lot of the mids, and then I also added more reverb just to wash it out a little bit more. Another thing I did was change the stereo separation so that's a little bit more mono. So when you make samples like this, it's very important that you layer instruments and you layer your chords so that way that the sample sounds a lot fuller and you build the frequency spectrum. So what I did next is I found this piano and I made these chords. Here's what it sounds like by itself. Okay, so these chords may look very advanced, but they're really not that complicated. So the first one is an E major chord. I just took this F sharp down from its original G sharp, and I added that A. If you take it away, that's what it looks like with a C sharp layered on top, basic chord. I did the same thing for C sharp minor, except I added this F sharp, take it away, and it's a basic C sharp minor chord. Doing things like that adds tension into the chord and it also helps with that dark feel. Nothing you can do to make beats like this and loops like this is to layer different types of keys. So here's another one I got from Kavi's Elements of R&B kit. In terms of the MIDI, really you could just layer it. Sometimes it's okay to add different notes in if you want a different sound. Play it a little bit and see what sounds good to you. But for this one, this is what I did. I just chose to layer the chords and take out the bass notes. Here's what it sounds like. Alright, so effects play a big role for these last two instruments, and for both of them, I use the same effect chain. It basically consists of an EQ, a flanges, a love filter, some reverb, and a flanger, just to switch things up a little bit. Alright, so these samples are not complete if you don't have a vocal. Now that's not completely true. I've heard a lot of good samples that don't have vocals in them at all. I personally like using vocals because I feel like it adds more texture to the loop and also makes it feel like it's sampled from something. So I found this vocal on Splice, I put it in key, and then I layered it with a lower octave. This is what it sounds like. So for these vocals, the effects are basically the same, just a bit of EQ and a little bit of reverb. But for the lower vocal, I put a little bit of alto board on it, little alto board, and I turned the formant up a little bit so that it doesn't sound so dark and muddy. So a really important part of making R&B beats is textures and ambience. Things like ear candy, accents, vinyl, background noises. I like to use a lot of nature sounds in mine, like thunderstorms, so on and so forth. These kind of little things add a lot of character to your loops, so it's really important that you learn how to use those and how to make them fit into your mix. These are the ones I chose for this loop. It's just one accent, one at a normal octave, another one pitched down, and then I also chose a texture to go underneath it. I put the accent on the second half of the loop because I really wanted to add to that switch up feel and make things sound different. And I feel like it added to that. The very last thing was this bass. Just following the root notes of the sample. And that is it. That is how you can make a modern R&B type loop. So if you found this helpful, please leave me a like and a comment. Go ahead and throw me a sub and let me know whatever kind of videos you want me to do next. Peace out.